Hill and Ponton, another VA Q&A live. Unfortunately, it's just me today, folks. Carol could not make it, so hopefully I can answer the questions you need and somehow keep you entertained while doing so. So why don't we go ahead and just jump right in. All right, can you explain what to do to protect 100% PT rating, not TDIU, besides not filing another claim to open up for your reduction? The biggest thing I see as far as protection is, documentation. And what I mean by documentation is that you're going to your doctors regularly. You're getting documented your disease, okay? You're getting it documented that you're not getting better. Things are the same, things might be worse. And this can be frustrating for vets because they're like, hey, I am not getting better. I don't need to go see the doctor, say the same darn thing again and again. But what you're doing is you're putting together a record. So if VA comes along and says, let's try to reduce him, you turn around and you just slap them with a year, 2 years, 4 years of documents, not medical literature, your medical records, basically showing how bad you are and you haven't changed and things are still bad. And you want to give that to the VA, and the VA hopefully look at that and say, maybe we don't want to mess with this guy because it seems like things are still bad. So that's my biggest thing on protection. Well, one, not getting back in the system, but two, also making sure you're still treating. All right. I just submitted my claim last Thursday. Wish me luck. All right, Jason. Hope you get it well, and please get back to us on how it goes. How to get weight gain connected to depression and sleep apnea? Well, you need a doctor's opinion basically to say that secondary to your service-connected sleep apnea and depression, you have weight gain. So how would that go about? Well, I imagine if you're depressed in particular, you're not moving around much, you're lethargic, you're hanging out the couch. If you have sleep apnea, a lot of times, well, all the time, that's affecting your ability to sleep, which leaves you kind of completely zapped in the morning. So you need to show that. Now, here's the thing, even if you get the weight gain service connected, there's really going to be no rating for that. Just because you're overweight or obese, there's no rating to give you that. Now, if that weight problem caused diabetes, if that weight problem caused hypertension or something, those could be rated. But the weight itself, you can get service connected, and then anything problems that happen from there, you'd look to get service connected off the weight gain. But uh, that's where I'd look to for that. But you're going to need a medical opinion and go from there. All right, Brian, friends that are Vietnam vets are dying, heart issues, lung issues, diabetes. Can family file anything if they weren't service connected for anything? Can they file if they were service connected? Okay. So what we're asking here is if we have a veteran who never filed for disability before, but who died of what should have been a service-connected disability. So easy one is a veteran who served in Vietnam, had a heart attack and died. Well, we all know that if you were in Vietnam and you had a heart condition, ischemic heart disease, then you would automatically be service-connected. So even though the veteran never applied, the spouse, the survivor could apply for what's called DIC benefits, which is an ongoing monthly pension that you could get. And that applies whether the veteran was service connected for disability, had applied for the disability, or never applied. It doesn't matter what the veteran did in his lifetime, as long as you can show that the result is due to or proximately due to the disability that should have been service connected. Okay, I had a CMP examiner lie about my past examination. If I'm scheduled at that office again, can I request a different CMP exam office? And if so, how do you make that request? Yes, you can. I would put it in writing and say, I had a bad experience with this. I believe they lied. If you can give short understanding of the circumstances of how they did that, I would, and say, I do not want to go to this. I want to go to one of the other providers. Please assign me to one of them. Send that in, okay, and then call them and tell them the same thing. The call hopefully should get it turned around more quickly. The letter is really just to protect you in case they send you the same person again and you say, I'm not going. So that's what I would do. Charm. Hi, why don't you guys ever talk about missing organs and the benefits you can get from it? from gallbladders, hysterectomies. Please let everyone know there are benefits with these missing organs. There are benefits with these missing organs, Charm. Nate, if you put up a link to that video we did on this, you can get what's called loss of use for an organ, which is under special monthly compensation. It's special monthly compensation K, and I don't know what the rate is right now. It's I think about 130, maybe $150 a month, and that's completely separate from whatever rating you're getting combined for other things. So that is very important, Charm, and I apologize if we haven't discussed it enough, but we have a great video on that really kind of lays into what that is, the loss of use, but then also the fact that you can get multiple ones. I think you can get up to 7 last time I counted. And again, that's all compensation in addition to the benefits you're getting for service-connected compensation. T-Charger, what can serve as current diagnosis for evidence of presumptive if diagnosed was 13 years ago? Recent doc visits say the condition is being seen that day for it. I don't have access to original diagnosis. What can serve as a current diagnosis for evidence of presumptive? Okay, so you need the current diagnosis right now, right here, okay? I don't know what you're talking about as far as what diagnosis it was, but if it was diagnosed in service, great, then you have a direct service connection claim. But we look at a lot of these Vietnam vets we talk about all the time. They're developing diabetes, cancers, heart disease, Parkinson's 40, 50, 70 years after they actually were in service. So you don't have to have a diagnosis the day of getting out of service for a lot of these presumptive diseases. Juan, I have allergic rhinitis and I don't have polyps or the blockage, but my allergies take me out to the point where I have to lay down because nothing seems to help at all. Can I file a claim? Yes, file a claim. It sounds like your allergies are so bad that it's probably interfering with your daily life. It's probably interfering with your ability to work even. I would consider filing a secondary claim for psychiatric disorder or depression, because if it's affecting your ability just to get around on a daily basis, if it's affecting your ability to work, that's probably got you in a place where you feel isolated, where you feel like you don't have control of what's going on in your life. That's what a mental health condition is. That would probably be where you're rated, okay? Because if you don't have the standard polyps and the standard blockage, then they're probably going to give you a 0% for that. But then if you can get a 30, 50% on the mental health rating, then you're at least getting compensated more towards what you deserve. Jose, 100% PNT. VA combined my PTSD with TBI and changed my rating date for PTSD. Rating didn't change, but just added TBI. Original date was 14, now 22. If I appeal date, can that open me up to CMP exams? It can open you up to CMP exams. You want to get a copy of your code sheet, something we talk about a lot. And Nate, if you throw up we have a really in-depth video on this as well as what the code sheet is. You want to get a copy of your code sheet to see, even though they changed to 2022, 100% rating, if you look on the code sheet, it gives a history of your rating profile, okay? Let's say you had 10% in 1990, and then you had a combine 30% in 2002, and then, from there. It should still say on there that you had a 100% rating in 2014 due to the PTSD. And if it says that, you don't need to do anything, okay? So get the code sheet, you can go in the regional office, you can go into Vet Center, or excuse me, not Vet Center, but BSO and get a copy of this. You wanna see that first. Because if it shows that you were 100% PNT back to 2014 just for PTSD, and then it shows a new updated one that you just saw for 2022, you've got what you need. You got the effective date back to 2014. William, I have a suggestion if possible. Is it possible to get Congress or whoever to allow us just to do our own doctors without having to go through VA? Just use VA insurance card. I think that would be great. Solve a lot of problems as far as the backlogs they have, as far as, it's a crapshoot from when I talk to my vets when they go in. They never know what they're going to get as far as, is it going to be a quality doctor? Is it going to be some intern? Is it going to be some, dermatologist giving you an opinion on a problem with your back or neck? So I think that's great. It would be something you'd want to go to Congress on, because they'd have to authorize that. Moses, ready for TBI DBQ, saw on section 3 of residual read the TBI-DBQ, so disability questionnaire. On section 3 residuals, checks boxes that I have migraine, mental health, and tinnitus. If they're checked off at the C&P exam when they ask me, will I automatically be service connected for them? You will be service connected for them if there is, well, okay, you should be. Again, it's the doctor doesn't make the decision. The doctor proffers the evidence, and then it's the adjudicator that makes a decision. But you should be service connected for those. But the question is, will you get a separate rating? Do you have manifestations, symptoms independent of the actual TBI itself that would merit a rating? Moses again, is it a nexus slash IMO needed for filing depression secondary to mild TBI? It's been 4 years since I had my TBI. I know there's a 1-year rule for depression from TBI for presumptive secondary conditions. It's almost always best to have some kind of nexus saying that the depression is secondarily related. I would look back to your original TBI C&P exam if you can to see what did the doctor note. Was there something on there on depression? If depression didn't happen till now, well, how was that going to be noted? So you're going to be sent to an exam for that. If the exam does not note this, if the exam does not um, give you the nexus you need, then at that point, yeah, you're going to need to go outside the VA. Moses, can the VA lower your rating for migraines if the meds for them help you not to have any more migraines? It depends on which level you are as far as how high of a rating. If you're 50% and you're struggling to make things work at work, meaning you're just not showing up all the time and things aren't going well, and then with the medicine you're able to sustain work, I'm sure that would go down to 30. And if you get to the point to where you're not having any migraines to where you have to lay down or be still, then it could go down to 10 and possibly 0. But that has to be shown over sustained time. It can't be just a month. It can't be 2 months. It's got to show that this is working on a larger period. Mike G, Vietnam vet. Will filing for hyperthyroid causing depression trigger another PTSD exam, which may lower my 70% rating? Okay, if you're filing for the hyperthyroid for physical reasons, no. If you're saying it causes depression, then it definitely is going to trigger that. But remember, you can be service connected, even though you can be service connected with depression and PTSD, you can only be rated for one, the higher of the two, because it's the same diagnostic code. So if you're going for depression, you do not want to do that. Okay, that's going to get you nowhere but trouble. All right. Joseph, I filed for sleep apnea secondary to back injury in 2021 and was denied. File again for sleep apnea secondary to PTSD and was approved. Are these two different claims for sleep apnea for effective date? If you filed that second claim saying it was secondary to PTSD within a year of the denial of the back injury, it should go all the way back to 2022 because the claim is for sleep apnea being service connected in a secondary fashion. The fact that you are, you picked the wrong disability, well, you're not a doctor, okay? They can't hold that against you. All we know is it's related to something that happened in service. Franz, 10% for dysthymic disorder 25 years ago. Underdiagnosed, I believe, but just diagnosed with chronic grief disorder. Can I add this to my rating or is it a new claim? I would ask for an increased rating for your mental health condition. It's all, they're all under that same umbrella. K cost DG fleet driver. What exactly constitutes a fully developed claim? What exactly constitutes finding the gold at the end of the rainbow? I mean, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. When they came out with this concept, fully developed claim is basically you gather all your medical evidence, all your service records, any buddy statements, and then any doctor's notes or any nexus statements you have, and you send it to the VA and you say, this is a complete claim. Please make the decision now. Theory is they look at it, make the decision up, down, okay? Doesn't matter one way or the other. They decide it one way or the other, but they don't go out and use their duty to assist to get you a C&P exam or to go get more records or whatever. Okay, I gotta place my perspective. I'm very jaded, but my perspective is I only deal with appeals, meaning where the VA screwed this up. This is supposed to be a great concept to get a claim in and speed it up. But but I just don't see it. I see a lot of times where vets go in, they give all the evidence, and VA says, "Oh, this evidence is nice. Well, let's see what one of our doctors says about it." And that, to me, screws up the whole concept and frankly makes it worthless because you've done all the work, and then all they're doing is getting a CMP exam to probably try to deny you. Lonnie, currently waiting for BVA for ANA. Just got approved caregiver. At the BVA hearing, will the judge see this new evidence, caregiver, or do I need to present it the day? I've always presented, always assume they aren't going to look and see. It's in your VHA records, but they don't always look at the VHA records. So I would definitely give it to them the day of the hearing. Michelle, I saw a mental health counselor while in military. I'm currently seeking mental health professional. Can I file service-connected disability, and what would I need to prove to submit a claim? So yes, you can. First thing you need to do is show something happened in service, and you don't need to show what when we talk about an incident in service, you don't need to show what happened. If a family member died, or you were abused, or in a car accident. But if you show something like mental health treatment in service, that anchors us. Okay, then you have to have a current diagnosis, and then you have to show there's a nexus or a link between the two. All right. So if you don't have all that information yet, that's why when you file, they should send you to a CMP exam, and that examiner should look at all that and hopefully come to the correct conclusion in service connected. But please go ahead and file. All right, David, part one. Hello, I'm David. Have a legacy claim for loss of use of bilateral leg 2015 claim. Denied till present. On September, claim for ANA got loss of use for both legs and sphincter, lost both types of incontinence. Part two, only got effective date to January 12th, 2023 through ANA claim, which is an AMA claim. My loss of use for legs, can I get the effective back to 2015? Doc says bilateral above the knee. Thoughts? Yes, you can. If they're screwing with you because they're saying you went from one system to the other, forget that. If you have filed this continuously since 2015 and kept on filing the appeals, going up and down, you need to go back to 2015. This is them at their dirtiest. They're trying to keep your money. Okay. They're saying, okay, they do this thing where they're like, well, we can't beat them anymore in this. So we'll say it's service connected, and literally just chop off any retro benefits. And if you wait a year, I mean, I don't know what you were rated for before this, but we're talking tens, if not maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars they're trying to keep from you. So definitely appeal that. Selena, appreciate you guys. Awarded PNC years ago. I have an increased claim at the board for disability I was medically discharged for. It's only 20% of the 100%. If granted, will they pay back pay on my exit date? If you filed this within a year of your exit, then yes, they will. Traveling Wilbert, hello, I'm a vet with more than one denial. Can I go for higher level review? I'm thinking that's what you mean by HR. And second, supplemental. Yes, you can split the two. You can go one way and one the other. Honestly, I'd consider putting them both in the same just to keep it clear for you and the VA not screw it up. But you can do what you want. The higher level reviews are taking anywhere from a month to 3 months, which is not bad. So it might be worthwhile just going through that. And if they don't give you the correct rating, then you do supplemental for both. All right, Kevin, I have a video CMP PTSD exam by VA contractor next week. I thought PTSD CMP exams were supposed to be in person. What are your thoughts, experience for PTSD video types of exams? I don't love these. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is something you're gonna want to do, and hopefully get a really clear camera if you can, because doing it on like a FaceTime on video is so much harder, I think. But if you don't have that, you do what you do and do the best you can to get the symptoms across. 'Cause the thing about PTSD, I think, is so important is so the person to see you, see how you're hurting, to be and it's hard to substitute that from a physical presence, but you have what you have. You can ask, you can call the VA and say, I would like to see somebody in person, and maybe they'll change it. I don't know that though. But you just need to go in prepared to talk about how this is affecting you and what your daily life looks like. All right, Candace, in this session, is there anything we're going to talk about as far as Fort McClellan, Alabama? Candace, if you got any questions about that, bring them on. This is more just like an open forum where we talk, but happy to talk about that. The reason I asked the question is because I decided not to get VA benefits when I left the military. It was a long time ago, back in 1998. The problem is most toxic time is when I was there number one, and the most toxic things were soil and water. Most toxic time is when I was there number one, and the most okay. Any other parts of this? The reason I asked the question is because I decided not to get the benefits. Okay, so you should apply definitely. The times we found were the most toxicity or the highest toxicity, and when it was actually being still, I don't want to say used, but still there, where it was in the 70s, all through the 70s and through the mid 80s. If you were there in 98, that's a harder claim, but it's possible. I will say you did not mention any diagnosis. You got to have a diagnosis. You know, you've got toxic exposure for sure, but you got to show that you have some kind of diagnosis that's related. But I would apply if you do have that. Tony, I'm now 100% P&T thanks to your videos. Tony, that is great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing. And again, we're excited to be here and just hope we can help more people on a day-to-day. So that's great to hear. Get out of the VA and go on and live your life and enjoy it. You deserve it. Dwight, I had a CMP and received a low rating for my back. I found more medical evidence in my civilian file of a more serious issue. Do I file a higher level review? So once it has gotten a decision on supplemental claim, if you file higher level review, you cannot put in new evidence. So what I would suggest is filing another supplemental claim, which within the 1 year will get you back to this original effective date, okay? And submit that evidence there and go from there. Nick, I just completed a CMP exam. He confirmed the diagnosis of PTSD, also stressor causing PTSD. Can raters still deny my claim? Unfortunately, they can. They can send it back and say, oh, you didn't consider this, or oh, what about when he did that? So they can deny it, but the fact that you have that from their CMP doctor, I think you got a good claim there. And even if they do deny it, you can you can appeal and say, the rater denied this, but here's all what the actual medical evidence says, and I think you should grant it. So I'd like to think you have a good claim there. All right, Dwayne Jones, please explain SMC steps, 1, 1.5, 2, etc. Or one. Okay, special monthly compensation is something you can get either apart from your VA rating, which is SMCK, we talked about, that's the loss of use of organs, or you get it instead of, okay? So SMCS is the first level above 100%. So we're going to use round numbers here, okay? Because the ratings all change. But let's say 100% is 3,500, okay? SMCS is going to pay you about $300 to $400 more. So that'd be 3,900. So if you have SMCS, you no longer are rated at 100%. You're rated at SMCS, which is up at $400 more, so $3,900. The next level above that is aid and attendance, which is another $300 or $400. So if you can show you're in need of aid and attendance, then you can get a higher level up to 42, something like that, 4,300. Now from there, once you get to L, it gets really hard to get higher up. But if you have L for, let's say, your back, but then you have separate ratings for your PTSD and migraines that are another 100%, well, then you can get a half a step up, okay? And that goes to the next ones, the M, the N, the O, and then all the way to the R, where you can get half a step up if you can show that there are additional ratings at least 50% or greater that would that are not part and parcel of that SMC. It's a very nuanced question. It looks pretty easy right there, but it's pretty hard, and it basically comes down to the facts of each case. But yeah, those are important because it's just one more way to get more of the benefits that you're entitled to. Alan Fan, good morning. I'm 63 and a half, have 50% for both PTSD and sleep apnea, 10% for hypertension. Waiting for decision filed in February 2023 for migraine headaches and type 2 diabetes as secondaries. Should I or could I still upload an 8940 to be considered with the migraines and diabetes? And should I include the PTSD, OSA, hypertension on the Form 8940? Form 8940 is basically what you submit to say, I cannot work due to my disabilities and I'm requesting individual unemployability. Okay, so that's the form that you would submit. I would absolutely submit that right now. Just say it's due to everything. And I should be service connected for those issues, but also I should be 100% through unemployability. Oh man, Vano the Moon. Do you need nexus for all secondary conditions? Yes, you need a medical nexus. Joe Brawley going to third CMP for the same issue. Joe, this is ridiculous. We're seeing the VA do this more and more, where they're just sending people back again and again. You got to go, but I hear your frustration, and frankly, it's not right. Dominique Nevers, I've been scheduled for 2 CMP exams for migraines and insomnia. One is mental health exam. What is the reasoning behind 2 separate exams? And secondly, should I prepare both? Should I prepare differently for both? Okay, the 2 exams are because you have disabilities under 2 different diagnostic codes. The first one is under the migraines diagnostic code. And Nate, if you throw up the link to the diagnostic codes, I'd appreciate it. The second one is under the insomnia, which would be under mental health conditions. Okay, so with the mental health conditions, you're gonna, well, let me back up. You do want to go look at the disability benefits questionnaires for both of these. You want to see what is the VA looking for the migraines, like what are they going to ask? And the biggest thing there is, do you have prostrating migraines? Okay, do you have, and all that means is, once you get a migraine, do you have to lay down? Do you have to be in a dark room? Do you have to be quiet? So you need to be able to answer that. And then you also need to be able to answer, do the migraines affect your ability to work? You might still be able to work, but it might affect your overall ability to be at work on time or to continue to work. And yeah, so it's not so much preparing differently, it's just reading the different material and thinking about, okay, where do I fit on this rating code? What are my worst problems? Step by step, HLR came back with difference of opinion. What does that mean, and what are my next steps? Well, I need to know what the difference of opinion is, but basically they can disagree with what the lower adjudicator, if you will, found, and change the decision. So if they change the decision to your positive, your next steps are, okay, did they give me the right rating? Monty, if you have a documented in military and filed within 1 year mark, and you keep pointing and showing the VA you should be service connected, should you call the White House line? I don't know what the White House line is really good for speeding things up. It's not so much good for the substantive issue of, did the VA get it right? So I'm not sure that's going to help you there. Sharon from Facebook, my exam was scheduled for yesterday morning, and once again, the examiner didn't show up with no notice. I'm frustrated. What can I do? I'm sick of this process. Okay, what you can do is you can call. I do this both. Write a letter to the VA and say, this is ridiculous. I went to this exam, which is an outside vendor, okay, and the person wasn't there, wasted my time. All right. I would call and I'd also say, I demand a new examiner, a new company. I'm not here to get my time wasted. I need to get this claim through. I'm sorry you're going through that. That is ridiculous, and you have every right to be infuriated. Nathan, I filed a supplemental claim for sleep apnea secondary to my cervix-connected rhinitis and sinus. VES says no nexus. My VA doctor says yes to nexus in a written letter. Who wins the opinion? Thanks. Again, I'm jaded. A lot of times I see that the VA goes with their outside contractor. And if they do that, that's fine. You appeal and say, okay, they said this. And then what you want to do is differentiate. What did the outside doctor do? How long did they see you? What questions did they ask? What things did they not ask you? What symptoms do you feel like you have? Did they ask about how long you were having them? And then compare that to your doctor. How long have you seen the doctor? How often do you go in? What kind of things do you guys talk about? Did the doctor, was he fully informed of what's going on with your disease process? So that's what I'd look to do to contrast the two. But let's hope they get it right and go with your doctor. Laisha Singleton, is there a template to write personal statements? We actually are trying to come up with this. We have a program called Turbo Claim, VA Turbo Claim, that we're trying to come up with personal statements. But basically, what you want are the who, what, when, where, and why. Okay, you don't want any emotion. Okay, you don't want to say, Singleton is a great lady. She deserves these benefits. I've known her for her whole life. I just think she's wonderful. You want somebody to say, I'm a Singleton's neighbor. I've known her my whole life. I noticed that when she comes home from work every day, her back is killing her. She can barely make it to the door. When I go over, she's normally laying down. I see her pain. in her face because she winces a lot. These are all observable facts, okay? These are all things that the person sees and perceives. It's not a plea for, hey, this is a good person giving benefits. That does absolutely nothing, okay? It's them using their senses to see what's going on, maybe what happened in service, what's going on right now. But that's what you want them to do. You want them to give specific facts, okay? It's what is it? Just the facts, ma'am. Just laying out what is going on, what they observe. Bobby, I have a TDIU claim pending at 80%. Question, can I apply for loss of upper teeth at 40% for TMJ? Yeah, you can apply for all that if you want. The question is, once you get TDIU, do you keep that claim in? I don't know that it helps you. That would be where I would consider dropping it. But right now, go ahead and apply for it. And hopefully, if they screw up the TDIU, at least you get a higher rating there and you start getting more benefits on a monthly basis. What does this say? Austin C. Austin C. If the favorable findings stated I require ANA for a separate unrelated condition, how does that weight hold at the board? I already get ANA and they said if I didn't qualify for the second condition. If you need ANA for a condition that is unrelated um, and it's service connected, then that's going to get you a really high special monthly compensation rating. You go from basically L to O to R. It kind of just shoots you right up. Now, if they're saying you didn't qualify for the service connection, um, you're asking, can you get ANA for another one? Well, ANA is not, it's not mutually exclusive. It's like, you get ANA for this issue, then there's no other issues you can get it for. You can be in a wheelchair and get ANA, okay? You can also have such severe dementia that you can't remember what happens when you walk outside your house and you're gone. That would require aid and attendance as well. Okay, so just because one issue might be not service connected doesn't mean that you shouldn't be getting ANA for a service connected issue. Teddy, I submitted a great Nexus letter on 307. VA hired QTC to do CMP exam. I sent my sleep study report to them. Haven't heard anything back. Is VA going to screw me on this? Teddy, let's hope not. Sounds like you went out of your way to get the evidence you needed to get it over to them. Hopefully they get it right. If they don't, what I do have is faith in you to make sure that you look at their exam and you tear it apart if it's wrong. Most exams I see are flimsy and they don't go into all the research. They don't go into all the data about the veteran. They don't even go into what questions they've had and how long they were there with the vet. So hopefully they do get it right. Lateef Davis, I had 100% PNT, went back to work, and now I'm down to my overall rating of 70%. Can they reduce me before my 20-year mark next October if I put in tinnitus in one? They can reduce you before your 20-year mark. Your tinnitus is going to do nothing for you if you've already at 70%. So if you're looking to preserve the 70% rating and worried that somehow that'll be reduced for a tinnitus claim, then um, I don't know what to tell you on that. Wait till next October. If you're straight up 70%, a tinnitus rating of 10% is going to give you 3%, which means you'd be 73% and be rounded back down. So I wouldn't mess with that. Arthur, I was stationed at Clark Air Force Base, Philippines. They shut the base down because of volcano explosion. My medical records were lost in that tragedy. How do I get rated if they cannot verify anything? Buddy statements are your best deal here. If you knew people in the service who served with you who were either saw you have a problem, saw you be exposed to something, that's what you'd be, or if it's because of the volcanic ash that you've got some kind of lung problem, let's say, then you can get newspaper clippings showing that the things were closed due to that. Kim J. Received 100% PNT in December 22, had knee surgery replacement in January. VBA put in a claim for hospitalization reviewed knee surgery. What does that mean? You get something called convalescence. If you're post-surgery, I think if you're house ridden, let's say, for 21 days, then you get 100% rating. If you get 100% rating just for that, and you have other ratings that are already 60% together, then you get a bump up to SMCS, which I said earlier was another like $400. So that's what they'd be looking to do. That would go away once you're able to get up and walk around again, though. Dwayne, trying to get TDIU. I have 20% for bilateral sciatica nerve radiculopathy and 20% for lumbar strain. That's 60%. Does that qualify? Also, left knee 10% strain and tear. Yes, you have qualified for the basis you need for TDIU. Now you need to show those disabilities keep you from keeping a job. Elliot, can I file sleep apnea secondary to my lower back pain? Yep. All American veteran AAV, good to see you. CAVC remanded claims for VA to clarify a 2018 statement from the CMP exam and stated if the original examiner is not available, BVA will go to a new examiner. What about CMP rule stating no new evidence? Well, you can't have any new evidence at the Veterans Court, CAVC, but once you get remanded back to the board, if you're not in the AMA direct line, you can put new evidence in, which you're in the legacy claim here, so you should be able to put new evidence in, as should the VA. Mike, where can I get information as you guys got me individual unemployability as I'm now 90%, but paid 100%? Thanks. If you go online, you should be able to get some documentation discussing what your ratings are and show that you are 100% through unemployability. I don't know the exact place you go online. If that doesn't work, I would try to go to a VA hospital or even a VSO to pick that up. Moses, best provider to do a CMP exam at? I mean, like if you're talking about QTC, VS, I I have no opinion on that. I don't. I think it's a crapshoot. Montana Tactical Homesteaders. Does golf war illness lead to long haul COVID? It's been almost 2 years and I haven't recovered. I have my first CMP next week. I don't know if it does or not. Honestly, I'll be interested to see what they say. John Adams, I filed a claim for years ago under the Navy Blue Water Act. I was denied last July and filed for a higher level review in August. The hang up seems to be my ship is not listed on the Blue Water, listed in the on the Blue Water. Okay, so you got to show where your ship was and when it was there, and you got to show that you were on it. So you need to look at the ship logs and see whether you were in that territorial water radius. And if you have the ship logs and you have the longs and lats, you can go on our website and we actually have a program on there where you can put that all in and it'll show where your ship was compared to that demarcation line that you need to be inside of. Jose, how can I contact VA to get off a VA provider list for CMP? Who's more than 50 miles from my house? I would try their 1-800 number. That's your best contact. And again, I'd also send in a letter saying the same thing. DHAR, how do veterans and get into military nursing homes? I got your I got your email, ma'am, and I didn't get a chance to respond to it beforehand. I don't know this because this is a Veterans Health Administration issue or even a state level issue. So Veterans Health Administration runs a series of different nursing homes, but so do individual states. So I would check both with the state level and the nursing home level. I would talk to a VSO. If they cannot help you, then you need to go to a health advocate in the VA to say, hey, here's what we're looking for, here's what we need. Unfortunately, I don't know the specifics because we just don't deal with VHA issues here, but I wish you well on this. David, anyone know why claim process is taking so long? They're just getting more and more backed up. More and more claims are coming in. They're saying it's because of the PACT Act. I think that's a convenient excuse for them, but they just aren't able to spit out the claims as quickly as they thought they were going to be able to. Frank, which doctor should write as likely as not related to diagnosis or secondary? The VA CMP or the military retirement physician? Both. Does this language have to be in writing in order to get the rating? Yes, or checked on a box on a disability benefit questionnaire. I'd say both or either. James, any experience with difference of opinion being the result of an HLR? Then it turns the VA into initiate a supplemental. So again, difference of opinion basically means that they're overturning an opinion from a lower adjudicator. But the question is, what did they overturn? Did they overturn a finding of fact? Did they overturn the actual finding on whether someone's service connected or the rating itself? So you want to see what that is and then go to the supplemental claim and it inserts evidence that you need there. Coming for the meats. I have a CMP for ED, SMCK. What should I expect during the exam? You should expect to see, they ask you what's going on, how long does this happen, what medications you're on, what issues or related service that would have caused this. Phil, I currently have a supplemental claim for an increase for previous service-connected issues. I want to refile a denied supplemental claim for sleep apnea. Should I wait until a supplemental is done for refile? Um, I like to get everything in the system at the same time. If you're looking to refile, no, so do not wait. Just get it all in there. LOMF always. Do you always get a diagnosis for SMCK or just apply for it? I would just apply for it. They should find it on their own, but they don't always do that. Dominique again. Have an OSA, sleep apnea appeal with BVA over 800 days waiting for hearing dates. Should I realistically expect to hear something anytime soon? I have no idea. You should, but I would say there's a big possibility that you will not. John, I was service connected for testicular cancer and lung cancer. I had multiple surgeries and BEB chemotherapy, which caused hypogonadism to the remaining testicle. I got a 0% rating. Shouldn't it be 30%? John, I don't know the specifics on the rating schedule for this testicular cancer. What they do though is with cancers, they're going to say it's 100% when it's an active process or 0%. And when it's 0%, they need to rate the residual. So if you have, if you go on and you see that hypogonadism is actually a separate rating, I would point that out to them and say this should be 30% under this rating code, not the cancer code. Jeffrey, I filed for GERD secondary to PTSD and was then required to go to another COP exam for PTSD. Does this usually happen? No, but they screwed it up, and that can happen sometimes where they say, oh, well, you got to go to one of both, and it really, they shouldn't have done that, but I do see it happen. Due North Gallery. Did y'all win big in Vegas? We did not win big in Vegas, and I gotta say, I wasn't gonna bring it up. But since you mentioned it, I put money on those damn Bama Tide, and they went ahead and blew it. I mean, they blew it. Give me a break. They blew it. Not looking like the number one seed overall. So I lost money on a team I severely dislike due to my Florida Gators connections or affiliation. So did not win big and was bitter about having to put money on the Bama, but it was a lot of fun. Carolina had a great time there. It was a good excuse to get away. Charles A. Is there a difference between diagnosed with combat PTSD or PTSD? I was in combat in Iraq twice and was diagnosed with PTSD. The difference would be that your payment would definitely be tax-free, even though if it was military service connected. But meaning if you're getting military retirement for that as well. But other than that, you get the same ratings from a VA perspective. So no. Box 8 Brewing. H&P are my counsel, and I've been working on TDIU for me. This latest percentage change common? I'm not quite sure what we're talking about there, Box 8 Brewing. If you wouldn't mind following up and tell me what you mean by the latest percentage change common, I could hopefully answer that for you. Jacob, just got 100% today, P&T, but VA left a few claims not service connected. Should I HLR the non-service connected issues or leave well enough alone? If you believe those will get you higher benefits, then yes. If there's something really bad that could affect you down the road, like MS or Parkinson's or ALS or some kind of cancer, I would. Otherwise, if we're talking tinnitus, rhinitis, or even OSA, I'd let them die and go on with your life. Michael, I was denied for insomnia. I've been participating in an insomnia study with the VA for 6 weeks. I am rated at 21 out of 27 for having insomnia. Should I file a supplemental claim or go to the BVA? I am 77. You should, I would file a supplemental claim. No, you're 77. and hopefully you should get it expedited BBA. So if you file in the evidence lane, you could do that, but you got to show that something happened in service, okay? You clearly have the problem now. Without something in service and a nexus, where you're not going to win no matter where you go. So you need to get that evidence in there. By the way, I got to end a little early today, guys, so we're going to count it down for about 5 more questions here. Demetris, do you have SMC appointments once you file the form from your doctor? SMC appointments. You don't have to go to a doctor specifically for SMC, no, but you would. That should be part of a CMP exam they send you to. Carol, can I get back paid a service-connected date under NEMR for my deceased husband if my claim wasn't put in until 2019? If you put the claim in 2019 and you've continuously gone through it, then yes, you should be able to go back to 2019. And if the original claim was denied in 2019 under NEMR and then under the new law, it's been granted, then yes, it should go back then. Expert Wonder, I appreciate Helen Ponton. I'm 100 because of you guys. That's great to see. I'm sure you did plenty of work as well, but I'm glad we can contribute to that. Scrap guy. I went before a BBA judge a week ago and waived the 90 days evidence intake. The judge said decision would be quicker. How long do you suppose it'll take? Quicker is such a relative term in the VA. I mean, it just depends. If yours is one of the oldest cases in the queue, then it should hopefully be out in the next couple of months. But it's, they're still taking years. So I don't know. Hopefully it does come out quick, like he said. It's just speculation, unfortunately, at this point. Jeff, I'm no longer able to survive on my fixed income, including my 100% VA PNT. Is it possible to get additional monies from the VA? Thanks. Not from a financially desperate situation like you're talking about. It would have to show that you need it due to more disabilities, unfortunately, Jeff. Jeff again, new published research show that neurological pathologies caused by Agent Orange can show 40 to 50 years after exposure. Is the VA ever going to acknowledge this? They are. The whole adding heart disease, Parkinson's, even diabetes, different cancers, when they've added those, hypertension this last time, they're basically admitting that these can be caused by Agent Orange and they can show up decades later. All right, let's do 2 more here. Steve, I filed for depression, anxiety, secondary to fibromyalgia. Still waiting, but I also am service connected for tinnitus. Would tinnitus still be an option if they deny for fibro? Yes, we see a lot of cases, unfortunately, where depression and anxiety is caused by tinnitus. I mean, think about it. If you've got this ringing in your ears and it gets worse when you're in public, you want to be isolated by yourself. You can't really interact with others. You're kind of away from loved ones. That's what depression is. That's a mental health condition. So yes, I think you have a strong option there to go for that. Jeff, should my spouse do a lay statement for each condition or speak to all conditions in one lay statement? I think one long lay statement would work as long as she's trying to break out each disability that she sees. Okay, so she can give a statement because a lot would be the same. This is how long I've known him. This is, we're spouses, so I see him every day, and this is the things I see. And then one back problem. Every morning he gets up and he can barely get out of bed. He sometimes can't shower by himself. 2, migraines. This is, I come home and he's already in bed and it's dark and he can't see because of the migraine, yada, yada, yada. So I think you can, but just make sure that each one is broken out distinctly so it's easy for them to see. All right, folks, that's all I got for today. I apologize I couldn't go any longer, and hopefully we'll make it up for it next time. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all that you teach us and y'all teach each other. And I'm glad to see that some of y'all are getting these benefits you deserve just by listening to this and keeping yourself informed. So till next time, take care.